guys, my name is Tim Marr and this is part 1 of a Grapple truck build series. Grapple or storm truck is used for removing debris off work sites or cleaning up after a hurricane. Storm trucks are usually built as big as possible to haul the most yardage. Before I get started, I wanted to talk about my background and the old trucks I've been around. My parents started a budgetary service in 1982. They had a few pickup trucks that were hand-loaded each day with logs until the floors of the beds caved in. At that point, they had steel plate added until it caved in also. They owned a handful of trucks, and finally in 1991 were able to scrounge together enough money to purchase a self-loading grapple truck. A well-used Ford L8000 that leaked fluid and had less than 200 horsepower. It was a huge relief to the workforce. It could haul more material with less backbreaking work. It was slow to get going, dangerous to stop, and held 25 yards. The tree service continued to grow and add staff and equipment. As the company evolved and I grew into a working position, I spent years operating trucks like these and the crane. 2003. A pair of Sterling 9501s were added, one with a Terex 30-ton crane and another grapple truck. The Sterling 9501 had a great loader and a large bed, but was severely underpowered. It had a small Cat 7-liter engine and 330 horsepower. 262-inch wheelbase with a 22-foot, 50-yard bed with a Prentice 124 log loader. The small Cat engine had some emissions equipment and issues. Things were changing and emissions regulations were getting tighter. However, there was a glider kit program where you can get a remanufactured pre-emissions engine from an older truck and put it into a new chassis. It's made things much easier to work on and more reliable, if you can get your hands on one. In 2009, I traded in one hat for another and started working around modified cars. I stayed on as a consultant to help my brother with a few things with his tree service. Fast forward to 2013, my brother picks up a Western Star 4900 SF glider with a 500 horsepower Detroit Series 60 and a 310-inch wheelbase. 23-foot, 50-yard bed, much better power, but turned like an aircraft carrier. Here's why. A longer wheelbase will not turn as well as a shorter wheelbase. On the same note, if you go too short of a wheelbase, then the truck can ride and handle poorly. Wheelbase, bed size, and weight all play an important role. 2015, he picks up a Western Star 4700 SF with a 288-inch wheelbase with 450 horsepower. It had a 23-foot bed and turned much better, but we wanted something with more capacity and power. 2020, the last year for a glider kit. The end of an era. June of 2020, my brother and I discussed 1 or 2 glider kits. We would only be able to get the Western Star 4900. They are currently made in Portland, Oregon, and will often go a few million miles. Western Star is an American manufacturer that still builds trucks in an older, slower, more manpower dependent fashion than modern automobile assembly plants. I was given the go-ahead to start planning the builds and doing the research online. Many emails and calls later, we had an idea of what we wanted. First, I had to find a chassis. I got in touch with Mr. Wayne Burrows of Burrows Diesel. He directed me to the Western Star website. It's loaded with chassis options. We ironed out the specs and got the chassis in motion. I went with a 284-inch wheelbase for a 25-foot, 75-yard bed. The truck will also get a tag axle to help distribute the weight. Some other choices we made are a 2-speed fan to keep things cool, dual steering boxes, a 20K front axle, and a New Way 52K rear suspension with air ride. An Eaton heavy-duty spec 18-speed was chosen along with an Eaton easy pedal clutch. The rear ends are 46K rated with a 410 final drive for pulling anything. With the chassis details sorted, it was time to get back on the phone and find the last glider spot. With 2020 being the last year, everyone was sold out. I spent a few days on the phone calling from Connecticut to Canada. I found one out west. A long phone call with Pete at Custom Truck got the ball rolling. They built some amazing trucks over the years. From long-nosed Peterbilts to Kenworth T800 or W900, they built some really nice trucks. The chassis was finished late 2020 and shipped down to Custom Truck to have the engine and drivetrain put in. We ran into some major back orders, but the truck finally came together, so I was able to book a flight to Coos Bay, Oregon. The engine is a Cat Reman 6NZ from 1999. It's a 14.6 liter inline 6 engine based off the legendary 3406. We had it custom painted to match the truck and added ceramic coated exhaust manifold and turbine housing. It's currently set to 550 horsepower, 1,850 pounds of torque. I also want to mention something. I get the number 36 a lot in life. A few of my cars have 36 in the VIN number. When Pete at Custom Truck read off the serial number for the engine, it ended in 36. I was really excited on how amazing the truck turned out. Hours of research and calls to get the best options and specs. I've driven trucks throughout my entire life, but they were always missing something. Power, handling, crappy transmissions. This one will be complete. After a year, I was finally going to get to drive this truck up the coast. I was familiar with an 8 or 10-speed transmission, but this was going to be my first time shifting an 18-speed. Let's get to the live action. The drive up the coast was excellent. The truck had plenty of power, turned well, and sounded good. Big thanks to Wayne Burrows and Pete Betancourt for all your help. I also want to thank my brother Dale for trusting me with this project. The truck will be transported to Pittsburgh Power and run in on the dyno to see how much power it makes.